My favorite quote from Lawrence Halprin, who said, "The great challenge for the garden designer shouldn't be to make the garden natural, but to make the garden so the people in it will feel natural." I'm John Valentino with John and Bob's. I'm a landscape architect and a landscape contractor. I'm here with Chip Valentino. We're at this garden that we just finished. It's a highly functional garden that features no lawn in the front and very water conserving plants with a drip irrigation system. And really what I find even more unique about it is the way it's addressed usable spaces and making the landscape as functional as possible and as contributory as possible to a better life by expanding the house out into the garden. This garden was skillfully designed by my partner Bob Truxell. Our hope here is to have it be kind of an inspiration and motivation for you. You can get some ideas out of it that you can apply to your own garden. This is a brand new garden. This house was just built. You can see the entry to the garage here, and then the planting focuses on a screen where the neighbor's property can be screened using privet, which is a background screening shrub, white lantana, red hesperaloe, and two kinds of salvia, Salvia leucantha and Salvia gregii. We have the same types of planting on both sides of the driveway. And then those plants are used over and over throughout the rest of the garden. What we like to do is not use one plant here and one plant there, but come up with a fairly small plant palette and then use it in bold ways. When you mass plants, you really are affording yourself a real look into their beauty, because when they bloom all together and they make quite an impact. One of the things that I think will pay off in the years to come, you can see these are small lots with big houses. A lot of times the mistakes are done with the size of the trees, and here we used very small trees so that we're not going to have any problems down the road with cracking sidewalks and with trees that get too close to the house and spread out over the roof and all of that. In this case, we used the Majestic Beauty Raphiolepis. Either you can think of it as a large shrub or a very small tree. It gets about 10 to 15 feet tall and grows a little bit like a lollipop. Probably the most interesting feature of the front garden is the front courtyard, which connects to this idea of making it as useful as possible. In addition to the driveway entrance, there's another entrance here from the street that takes you to the front door via the courtyard. The courtyard gate hasn't been completed yet. You can see the posts, which are right now longer than they're going to be. This wall was built out of concrete block with a precast concrete cap. It was plastered and painted to match the house so that it looks like an extension of the house, and it creates a nice entry and a nice place here with a fountain surrounded by nandina and blue fescue. It's really a neat water feature from Stone Forest. You can go online and they have a lot of nice products. Lends a nice sound to the courtyard, and is also very attractive and natural looking. This is going to have some outdoor furniture. They've lived all over the world, so they have some garden ornaments from different parts of the world. The planting is a little bit different here. You can use things that require a little bit more water. It has the oak leaf hydrangeas here, and then the Limonium perezii is the botanical name. Sea lavender is the common name. So we'll walk into the back now, which has many more usable spaces. It backs up to a golf course. All of these houses here back up to a golf course. This is the service part of the yard. They have a block wall that separates them from the neighbors, areas for storing garbage, and all of the pool equipment. We put in some raised vegetable planters, very simple ones that have drip irrigation. A surface made out of anodized aluminum edging and pea gravel on top of decomposed granite makes a very inexpensive, durable, clean surface. You could use just a decomposed granite. The nice thing about putting the pea gravel on top or some type of gravel is it makes it a little cleaner where it doesn't track. We don't put a thick layer of the pea gravel, and that way it's not real squishy. Instead, it's firm, almost like a paving surface. The fence was made out of cedar and then stained a coffee color to kind of go with the color of the block wall. Then we enter into the garden, which has lots of stuff going on. They do have small lawns in the back for pets. It's a hybrid Bermuda lawn, very tough and good for Fresno's hot summer climate. The trees back here are small too. This is eastern redbud. There's an outdoor kitchen with a granite countertop. This is an arbor made out of steel that has some nice FX lights on it. We'll show you what those look like when they're on. The arbor defines the space of the outdoor kitchen, and then there's furniture in it, and it's directly adjacent to a pool. So you can see in the background a very simple, elegant pool shape, and that's kind of where you start, is with the pool, because it takes up the most amount of space. Bob did a very simple pool with clean lines, and then the circulation around it is very simple and clean. Once the pool is designed, then you try to create interactions between all the spaces, and that's accomplished by this simple circulation. And then what's left is really fairly small areas for planting, and so you try to plant it in ways that screen the fences and give us a feeling of greenery and not an arid landscape. As you walk through the garden, there's a completely different type of outdoor space with the patio and some plantings and garden ornaments that they got mostly from Thailand, I think. To kind of tie in with the theme, we used this nice look of Mexican cobble. We hand placed them into decomposed granite. One ground cover is Dymondii, Dymondii, and then Asian jasmine. Then we have another type of outdoor seating area. The planting here again is more white lantana. You can see that dwarf olive shrub curves around and is a mass planting. That will provide some screen of the neighbors, and then that goes into a real big screening plant, the Texas privet, which will grow to almost as tall as you want it. And so we'll have a background screen. Instead of looking at a block wall, we'll be looking at a green screen of Texas privet. I think on the other side we used a type of Carolina cherry. So both block walls are screened. More of the side yard, which has another hybrid Bermuda lawn with more of the eastern redbud trees in a straight line. We'll be pruning these up so you can walk under them. Probably when they sprout next year, we'll prune them up a little. We used edging around each tree, and they're all lit up, which we will show you what that looks like. As you can see, we used this anodized aluminum edging to define the hybrid Bermuda lawn and to make it so when the lawn is maintained, these clean lines are maintained. If you don't have something defining the edges, a lot of times it'll end up curving around. This concrete walk goes back to another area off of a bedroom. The lighting at night looks like a different garden, and it really is magical. This lighting system, they're LED garden lights, kind of a contemporary looking, very distinctive feature for all the path lights. All of the trees we lit up with an uplight. We used a nice fixture in the arbor to light up with kind of soft garden lighting rather than something like a harsh 110 volt light. We also lit up these water displays on the pool by getting a small little fixture and shining it in that direction. The ornamentation is lit, the trees are lit up, the outdoor kitchen is lit, all with low voltage lighting, which is very easy to install. Okay, stay down, Chip. He's got. The main thing is I would hearken back to what we were talking about, what Lawrence Halprin said, is that your challenge shouldn't be to make the garden natural. Your challenge should be to make the garden so the people in it will feel natural. That is speaking directly to how you use the garden. It's not like you should look at this garden and say, we want it just like that. This is specifically designed for how these owners use the garden. And so you can look at, for instance, how that little strip of Mexican cobble placed in decomposed granite adds a nice feature, and that might be something you use in your garden. But usually you're not going to want to copy a garden. You're going to want to think about how you're going to maintain it, how you're going to use it, what your favorite plants are, and develop your own program of features that the garden should have. We're constantly installing gardens and designing gardens, and we have the opportunity to walk through them and show them to you. If that's a process you want to participate in, make sure you subscribe. Tell all your friends to subscribe, and we will continue making videos. This is essentially a new subdivision with not the greatest soil. A lot of it is fill, but we used a lot of our blend. We used that as the main soil amendment. We didn't till it in or anything. We just used that towards the end in the top 1 inch or so of the soil, and then we used it when we did all the plantings. And then we used Penetrate Liquid Biotiller. That's a liquid product, and that's full of beneficial bacteria and food for it. And so it's a good way to start the process of building life in the soil, which is what we want to do in a soil like this that isn't the greatest, has kind of been trampled on and abused. No one was thinking about the soil when they were building this house.